Hello, members, and welcome to a fun little thing where we're going to look back in the past on some things that could have been, I guess. And today we're going to look at two different things from Jelly World, which, if you don't know, Jelly World is a game that I was making before Jelly Fields, and the project got corrupt. Here we are now. This is a building called the Cog. And this was actually my first drawing of it. One of the things that was happening in Jelly World is all of these like otherworldly artifacts and things just randomly appeared one day. And one of these things was this cog-shaped building. There's also these like floaty cogs. And you can see these crystals here that are blue and pink. Those are things that also appeared here. If you can tell, somebody has moved into the cog and has started putting like piping and little like electronics, and here's like a thing attached to this rock. There's like some circuitry attached to these things. What this was meant to be was the home of a researcher named Agnes Sona. She would have taken what am I trying to say? She would be inside of the cog, and when you would go in there, you would be able to talk to her, and she would tell you about the ruins, which are like, once you go inside these ruins and leave and come back, they were different. So they were like a randomized dungeon kind of part of the game. This was the original art I drew for it, and I showed it to a few people, and kind of came to the why can't I speak today? Came to the census that it doesn't look very great. So I upgraded it to look like this, and I think it looks much better. And I also added these little like totem pieces, I guess. I don't know what you would call them. They're kind of like other top pieces of the cog there, but this looks so much better than this. This was very flat, and this there's a lot of texture to it. You can see that these little like panels are kind of popping out more and are more detailed, which I think is really cool. Also, the jelly disappeared. This is a Golem Mini, by the way. This is actually one of the official jellies that's meant to be found in caves. And I think this is the last time I ever drew it, so it might need to appear in a new game. So I was talking about those ruins earlier, and you might be wondering, what were those ruins supposed to be like? That sounds like a really cool idea. And here's a little concept that I had drawn up for the ruins. Inside the ruins, you can see that the player here is doing something crazy. And there's also what I called the block walker. Actually, no, this was called the cube walker. This is what I ended up calling the block walker. This giant one, which is kind of like, that's like the baby version. And this is like the dad. How the dungeons were meant to work, where they were randomly generated dungeons. I actually have like a playable version of that I'll need to show you guys in the future. That was in like a really old version of Jelly World. You would go in there and you would have several different spells that could attack things. The combat system was not like fighting things. They were all considered traps. And if I go into here, you can see a few of these different traps. So here was like a spike trap. Notice the little green portion of it. That's to show that the trap was on. There was also this, which is an arrow launcher, which would shoot out arrows at you. And then there was the block walker and the cube walker. And you can see that they still have the green on them. So they're all considered traps. And there was two ways of going about the dungeons. The one way was by avoiding the trap, so there's like a defensive way, and the other way was like brute forcing your way through and destroying the traps, which is the offensive way. And you can see the player here is using an offensive spell, which I believe this was called a gem spike. And there was also a defensive spell, which was like a bubble that you could cast around yourself where you were invincible for a little bit. And when you would get hit by them, it would hurt your stamina. You can also see up here that I had plans for you to be able to have a mount. This is a mousey. This was one of the like 4 mounts that I had planned for the game. and each of the mounts would have a special ability attached to them. And this is Myth. I actually made this little scene here for the Steam page for Jelly World. That was the whole purpose of this little scene. But yeah, pretty cool. I can't remember what you were supposed to do in the dungeons. That's how you would get things like iron and other like gemstones to craft things and other crazy, wacky stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed coming along with me for this journey of looking through old stuff. And let me know if you want me to go through a lot of other old stuff. I have a ton of old abandoned things and ideas that I think you guys would like to see. Okay, goodbye.